Chapter 3. Coming together is a beginning. Keeping together is progress. Working together is success. Henry Ford. Grace thought she knew what she wanted out of life. A magical fairy tale wedding, a large home filled with laughter and children, and if she was lucky, the home would have a magnificent view of the ocean. She smiled as her dreams cascaded through her mind. Everything was falling into place. Or was it? Did she have all the information she needed, or was she just rationalizing her decisions? Why do I let things bother me? Why do I worry so much? I didn't used to. I guess growing up is harder than I anticipated. Only one thing matters, and that is marrying Joe. He is my best friend. I can tell Joe everything that is on my mind. He always listens and is there for me. Grace wanted a June wedding. The ceremony would be held at the American Martyrs Catholic Church. It was just 4 blocks from her home, dominating the skyline of Manhattan Beach. It was the church, set on a hill. Sometime in the early 1900s, an adventurous nun, St. Frances Xavier Cabrini, had prophetically chosen the site when she climbed the high sand dune that overlooked the Santa Monica Bay and declared, "Here is where a church should be built, on this hill, a beacon for the villager or sailor, and it shall be." The church, with its tall stained glass windows, tapestry, and stone, was a model of purity. The litanies and creeds of the Catholic Church brought them to God, life's rituals. The church had sacramental ceremonies for all the big moments of life: baptisms, confirmations, weddings, and even funerals. Fortunately, June's drab, foggy haze burned off by noon. Father O'Brien officiated the dusk to nighttime wedding. They wanted the ceremony very personal. The most emotional moment of the ceremony was when Joe and Grace recited their vows. Joe went first. "I come freely and without reservation to give myself to you in marriage. I will honor you as my wife for the rest of my life. I will lovingly accept all the children that the Lord gives us and bring them up according to the law of Christ and the Church. I promise to be true to you in good times and in bad, in sickness and in health, to love you and honor you all the days of my life." Joe and Grace's emotions soared, eyes filled with tears and hearts united, their bond to last an eternity. As a young child, Joe listened to records by the Beach Boys. He and his friends used to hang out at the wide, friendly beach in front of his parents' Ocean View home. They came there because Manhattan Beach had some of the best surfing. Clearly, Manhattan Beach had been a wonderful place to grow up as a child. Even in the 70s, it was synonymous with the California beach culture. Joe and Grace's childhoods were filled with surfing, beach volleyball, strand bicycling, and plain old sun worshipping. This was where they wanted to raise their family. It would be the ideal spot for Joe to close million-dollar business deals. A bonus came every evening. It afforded a place to unwind with a glass of wine and watch the sunset. After an amazing honeymoon in Hawaii and hours of lovemaking, Grace hoped she would be pregnant. To curb her disappointment, Grace convinced herself that it would be easier to get the home fixed up without a baby in the mix. Grace bought a few things for their new home. The towels, sheets, and kitchen supplies had been covered by wedding gifts. It was a big step to buy a fixer-upper, but there seemed no other way they could afford a home at the beach. Her first morning alone in the house felt overwhelming. Joe would be working 12-hour days. There were so many bills to be paid. But although her mind could rationalize that this was a good thing, her heart felt troubled. Grace, standing silently, looked at the view from the home's massive windows, letting her thoughts run uncontrolled through her mind. Was this too big of a step? What if we can't afford it? God, I annoy myself. Maybe I should put off starting a family and have a career for a short time to help with the bills. Joe will just feel he's a failure if I do that. Why is he so determined that he has to be the man of the house and do this himself? Why is he so stubborn? My mother worked, and I'm fine. Grace took a deep breath, struck a yoga pose, and made an attempt to calm herself. What ifs are for tomorrow. Being here with Joe and hopefully soon a baby on the way were all that mattered. Maybe if I start writing a list of everything that needs to be done, this won't be so bad. Writing usually helps me get a better perspective on things. After all, I want to live here, don't I? And at that moment, she decided everything would work out fine. The 1922 tile-roofed Mediterranean home had windows in every direction, generous ones, which offered views of the ocean and the sound of the surf. In the evening, the light in the west often streaked the sky with pink and gold, and then spread over the ocean until distant waters glowed like a quiet fire. There were 4 bedrooms that supplied plenty of room for their growing family. Grace envisioned the home the way she would make it, spacious and well-lit, with hardwood floors. Over the next few months, all their free time was spent on the house. The kitchen had loads of counter space in gorgeous tones of bronzes and coppers. Double ovens were a must, along with a sub-zero fridge and a Vulcan range. The high-efficiency kitchen had a warm family feel. She placed African violets on the windowsill, the air filled with the perfumes of fresh-baked breads and chocolate chip cookies. They worked on the house every weekend. While their friends were off surfing and playing volleyball, they were home scraping off old wallpaper and painting. Their real resources came from within. Their world came together as they pressed toward the finish line. Grace's favorite day was Saturday. They slept in late, and she could slowly awaken to the scent of his cologne and see his dark head on the pillow beside her. She treasured the overtone of his voice, low and ever so faintly peaceful. She knew his taste, how he kissed, and the softness of his lips. This Saturday was different. Grace hoped that she and Joe would soon have something special to celebrate. Rising early so that she would not disturb him, she went into the bathroom to take the pregnancy test. The hardest part was waiting for 10 minutes to pass. Then, to her joy, she saw a pale purple line appear, which signified that she was pregnant. Oh, my God! At last! What should I do? How will Joe react? I need to call the doctor for an appointment. What should I eat? I hope it's a boy. Then we'll have a girl. I always wanted a big brother. Wow! I'm pregnant! Grace decided that she would tell Joe the exciting news over breakfast at the coffee cart restaurant. Joe. She reached across the table and cradled his hands in hers. We're having a baby. Joe squeezed her hands affectionately. I knew it, Joe yelled. How did you know? I just found out this morning. Well, I saw the test in the trash. I just wondered why you didn't tell me, but I figured you wanted to tell me at a special spot, to make a special memory. You were right. I will remember this day forever. Inside, her stomach fluttered with excitement, and Joe just stared at her with the biggest grin. The chatter flew between them as they finished their omelets and coffee. Their walk home along the Strand was peaceful and filled with dreams of their future child.